Holman, what's this I hear about you flying back east and getting your hands on a new sport truck? I didn't even know you were gone.
I was gone for exactly, it was less than 24 hours. I took a 6:30 flight to Detroit, and then I was there. I was fed, spent a couple hours with a new truck, and then I flew home. And I got home at...
On the same day?
On the same day. I got home at 12:30 a.m. So technically, I got home the next day.
That sounds like a crappy business trip.
Half an hour.
Are you happy about it, or did you have a good experience? Are we gonna hear about the truck?
Yeah. So we're gonna tease it on the Have You Heard this week, and so it might be a new version of a truck we've talked about that is more sporty now than before.
When you say tease, does that mean we're going to play your audio? Or are we going to talk about the truck? Or we're just going to tease them? And then
we're teasing them now that they tune in on Thursday when the next show drops, the Have You Heard? It'll be all about this particular new vehicle that we've been talking about for at least a couple of years and surmising that it would be the appropriate choice for a mini sport truck.
This is bugging me because you did not post anything about it on your socials. So I don't
not yet,
know
but I
what
will
it is.
because it's embargoed.
Okay.
So
damn it. Hold on a second.
By the
I didn't know
time
you were going to say this already.
Embargo.
But by the time you hear this, it'll be past the embargo. So
it's no longer
Embargo.
not embargoed any longer.
Okay.
By the time you hear this.
so that you could say it here now.
Right.
But you won't.
But I'm not going to because I'm going to save it for our Have You Heard. It deserves its own little episode.
Interesting.
It'll be cool.
I don't know. This is bugging me. I don't know what this is. What else do we have on this episode that we can actually talk about?
Apparently, you got your grubby hands on some new tool that you're in love with.
Oh, dude, it changed my life.
Well, I don't know if it was life-changing.
Let me think about this. I'll tell the full story later.
Okay.
I'll just tease this since you're in the teasing mood,
yeah.
right? I'll back you up here with some tease. You know when you do something like every so often and you think, I'm decent at it. I'm not a pro, but I'm pretty good. I'm serviceable.
Like
right?
this podcast.
I'm just serviceable.
Okay.
Not great.
Yeah.
Will never be Joe Rogan. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, never.
Never, ever.
Not even close.
I've been soldering for a long time.
That's not where I thought you were going with this. I didn't think that soldering was going to be the next phrase that pays
I don't
out of your mouth.
know. What was this, Kiss FM? It's the phrase that pays.
There you go.
This morning at 7:20 a.m.
I just have to lob in those little radio bombs to remind you of your yesteryears.
I have been soldering since I was a kid. For whatever reason, my father, I guess not for whatever reason, he was an electrical engineer. And one of his hobbies was making electrical components. And that's why I loved putting stuff together and making I made a strobe light and a bunch of other little stuff.
Are you teasing or are you actually telling the story now?
I'm going to tease it.
Okay.
I'm just saying I've been soldering for a long time.
I feel like you're dangerously close
You're right.
to taking the off-ramp to go tell the story.
It's about soldering. That's what it's about. Okay. And I found a tool that's freaking awesome. It changed my life.
And then I heard that you also went and spoke with our good friend Bernhard Leitner of Leitner Designs.
He tried to get away from me, but he was in the booth next to Banks and couldn't escape. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So between talking to potential customers, he spoke to me, and I shoved my microphone in his face.
And asked him for a headache rack for your
It's already underway.
EGR?
It's already underway. And we talked briefly about it, but that's not what the interview is about. Don't worry, it's not about Lightning's TRX. It's not. So I'm catching up with an old friend, but also I think some of the people may not know why he got started. So this is kind of an interesting twist. You'll like it.
All right, yeah. If you haven't heard the episode where he's been on before.
We didn't discuss this. The stuff I asked him.
So this is new stuff.
This is new stuff.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
All right, well, before we get the show started, we have to thank our presenting sponsor, Nissan. So for anybody out there, you're driving your truck, you're going down the road right now, you're listening to the Truck Show podcast, and it sounds awful on your tinny, crappy speakers. Your truck has a misfire. It's shaky and vibrant. It's loud. It only has 3 wheels on it. It's smoking.
How many springs are still good in the seats?
None of them. They're horrible. They're sticking right in your butt. Well, then, you know what? We are going to tell you to head on down to your local Nissan dealership where you can pick yourself up a brand new Nissan Frontier. You can get that Fender audio system, those awesome zero-gravity seats.
No springs in your butt.
A great truck that's quiet. Gets great fuel economy. It's a nice ride, but also has enough power and payload and towing to do those truck jobs. So,
and you'll like the 9-speed transmission.
You will love the 9-speed transmission. If you are looking for that new truck, again, head on down to your local Nissan dealership or go to nissanusa.com where you can build and price the Nissan Frontier that fits your needs.
This is going to be a little niche, but if you drive a 20 to 23 Duramax and you've been waiting for a cold air intake because you want either greater dust capacity, or you want a little turbo whistle, or you want a little something in the way of power, guess what, Mr. Holman? The Banks
guess what?
Ram Air Intake. The Banks Ram Air Intake.
It's finally here?
No, it's been here.
Oh.
It just got a carb EO.
Well, that means that I'm in California. That means it just got here.
Okay, for you, it just got here. For you and your buds?
That's
yes.
right.
So, or if you're in one of the 17 states that require a California Air Resource Board EO, that's an executive order that allows you to get your truck smogged. Head over to bankspower.com, type in your year, make, and model. You've got a 20 to 23 Duramax. You'll see the 42266. That's the Ram Air Intake. It is now 50 state compliant. The only
Ooh.
50 state compliant cold air intake, true cold air intake for your Duramax. Go get yours.
All right, and it's no secret, we love AMSOIL synthetic lubricants and protectants, car care and detailing products, filters, anything you need to keep your vehicle running right or looking great. Head over to AMSOIL.com. You can check out their whole line of motor oils, lubricants, car care products, whether it's for your engine, your transmission, or
engine flush for your Mercedes.
Your dashboard. Oh, by the way, have you done that yet?
No, I'm doing it this weekend.
You better do it quick because that
I
sticking lifter is going to be bad.
Dude, I'm going to your little backyard shindig, and then Sunday I'm doing it.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can use the AMSOIL and flush that sucker.
I already got it. I got my AMSOIL, got my 0W40 to put in.
All right.
And
you're ready
so
to
I'm
go.
going to flush it twice.
You're European?
I'm not sure if I'm doing the European or not. I actually have to call Mark Nyholm over to AMSOIL because it's on the borderline because it's a big block V8.
Right.
It's not a high revving big block V8. So it's kind of right on the border whether I should do the European or the standard
what does the spec
full
say?
synthetic.
What does the spec for Mercedes say?
Full synthetic.
Oh, I know, but there's going to be a API number that it has to...
It's not about... They both meet the API.
Okay.
There's a very subtle difference, and I'd be lying if I told you that it has something to do with one of the additives in the European
you need to figure
spec.
out which additive is correct for your engine.
Correct. I think... I'm being lured into the European spec,
Okay.
But I have a feeling I'm going to end up with the standard Signature Series full synthetic that you'd put in like my TRX.
All right. The cool thing about AMSOIL, too, is you can go to their website, AMSOIL.com, not only to check out all the products, but you can contact them. So if you have a crazy question where your vehicle's on the cusp and you don't know which oil or which lubricant to use, you can go right there to their Contact AMSOIL form on the website. Again, we love AMSOIL for all of our vehicle needs. Keeps them running right and looking great. AMSOIL.com is the first in synthetics.
And there are a lot of manufacturers that you can get truck accessories from. But one of our favorites is EGR. The reason is they make the roll track tonneau covers, both electric and manual, fender flares, VSL LED lights, window visors, hood guards, body side moldings, cab spoilers, sport bars, and a whole bunch of accessories, including under seat storage. We've been to their factory, and it's amazing to see the OE quality that they put into these parts. If you're looking for any of these categories, head over to EGRUSA.com. If you're considering, Holman, I don't want to see the brand name, but I was looking at a retractable bed cover that was at
You were
Banks.
cheating?
No.
On our friends at EGR?
I wasn't cheating. I was looking at one of the brands that you know.
Yeah.
And the truck had 1,200 miles on it. It was a 24 Duramax.
Okay.
Truck had 1,200 miles on it. The bed cover was already falling apart, and it was brand new. I talked to the owner. He's like, yeah, I'm not super happy. Dude, I have 13,000 miles on my EGR roll track. It looks like the day we installed it.
And we sat on it the other day, and it was fine.
We did for some photos, yeah. You'll see those photos on Instagram. Anyway, head over to EGR USA to buy the best in modifications for your truck.
The Truck Show. We're gonna show you what we know. We're gonna answer what the truck, 'cause truck rhymes with the Truck Show. We have the lifted, we have the lowered, and everything in between. We'll talk about trucks that run on diesel and the ones that run on gasoline. The Truck Show, the Truck Show, the Truck Show. Whoa, whoa.
It's the Truck Show with your hosts, Lightning and Holman.
I love how I used to do that and think it was funny. And then you do it now, and because you hated it, and then you do it, and then you just run with it now.
I do it because I hated you doing it.
But you would think that you would not do it then.
I don't even know what we're saying anymore.
Let's get into this next this next guest.
Holman, it's time to talk to an entrepreneur. I'd like to call Chris Hilbert. He's the owner of Sound Decisions and also Habanero Cordless Tools.
Cordless Heating Tools.
Rad name, huh?
Tell me more.
Let me explain why Chris Hilbert is going to be on the show. A couple weeks ago, I was installing my Valvetronic exhaust system, and that's so it can quiet down. It's twin mufflers that have vacuum-actuated cutouts, kind of like your Jeep.
Basically, the TRX did not come with adjustable exhaust notes.
No, it had sound cannons.
Yeah, right. I mean, it was just all loud all the time, and then
Yes.
you went and added the borderless mid-pipe, which made it aggressive and loud, and then you went, maybe a little too much.
Which I love, and you love driving.
No, it's great. But I also like having the button on the 392 where I pull into the neighborhood. I don't piss everybody off within 2 miles.
So ain't no button on that truck that I can silence it.
Not factory.
Not factory. And so you met, he will be an upcoming guest, the owner of Valvetronic.
Yes.
Sent me a couple of the mufflers, and little Eric at work, who you know, all installed them. Beautiful work. Just the most incredible TIG welding.
I crawled under the back thing. So I went to your house, and I army crawled between the bollards, and I was able to reach the underside of your truck, and I spun upside down. And it was interesting because as I was army crawling, I was able to go underneath your IR sensor and between the bollards. So I think you have more work to do. But that aside...
Did you have to say that out loud?
Yeah, that aside, I do admire the work to install the Valvetronic mufflers because they look amazing under there.
They look better than stock. And so they're vacuum actuated. So there is a vacuum pump, basically, that has to be mounted either under the truck or in the bed, whatever. And so both Erics at work mounted it for me in the bed. Well, you need a switched 12 volts. You don't want it on all the time, or, according to Valvetronic, it will kill your battery. So naturally, I go looking for a switched 12-volt ignition source. There's nothing in the bed, nothing on the TRX, nothing in the Ram 1500 where it's switched. So upon your suggestion, I did a home run from one of my aux switches, which controlled on the center stack. And they're configurable, which is awesome.
It's the factory buttons, and they allow you to add whatever accessories you want.
Exactly. So I go under the hood where I have all my bus bar, and I access those wires. And I was going to solder my connection and do a home run all the way to the back with this switch connection. And I thought, this would be a great opportunity to try out the cordless soldering iron that the guys at CompuStar gave me. Months ago, when the guys from Seattle came down from CompuStar,
they said, use this.
They said they were using this thing and having great success with it. And I go, I've never seen a cordless. I had heard about them before, but I'd never seen a cordless soldering iron. And they go, this is the greatest thing ever. It's all we use. I go, that's awesome. Where do I get one? And Josh from CompuStar says, well, have mine. I'm like, really? He goes, no, seriously, you'll love this so much. We're trying to help this guy.
He said, no, don't
Chris,
have it.
Grow the brand. So I said, I'll take it. And so I used it. And Sean, I don't call you that very often on the air.
It's true. Only when I'm in trouble.
You're not in trouble. I had one of those moments where I was angry when I was using this.
Okay. I don't know why.
I was
if
angry.
You liked it so much, why were you angry?
I was angry that I have been doing it. The bad way with a corded weller for 35 years.
Is it because we know when you are soldering, the cord pulls it in whichever direction, and it's hard to get it around because there's always a constant tug on the back of the soldering iron.
So there's that, and I have the most expensive weller that I can afford, and it still takes 5 minutes to heat up. I clicked the button on this freaking Habanero
and burned
cordless,
yourself.
And it was... I held the tip thinking it was going to take a while. I held it. I pushed the button. I'm like, that was like 2 seconds and it heated up. That is why we're calling this guy, because I've never, if you solder, even occasionally,
this is the tool
throw the weller or whatever the hobby shop crap in the trash and use this one. So that's why we're calling Chris. All right, let's dial this guy up. Apparently, he also owns Sound Decisions, which is a 12-volt shop, car stereos, alarms, all that stuff.
And by the way, just for our listeners to set the stage, this thing is only $50. It's not that expensive, and then it has 10 different accessory tips that are between $20-$25 each. So whatever you happen to be, doing, whatever tip you need, just buy those. But the device itself, pretty damn reasonable. The other option is, and so that's without the tip, the $50. They also have the Habanero Diablo. I don't know if you have the Diablo.
I don't know which one I have, to be honest with you.
And then they have the kit that includes a bunch of different stuff. So you can all the way up to about $250. It gives you a bunch of heads and the unit itself.
So I have 3 tips. I have really wide size of like a number 2 screwdriver, then one that is about, let's call it an 1/8 of an inch wide, flat, and then I have the needle nose that you do like a circuit board with.
Awesome. Well,
right.
let's give him a call.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Let's dial Chris.
Good evening.
Hello, Mr. Chris Hilbert. It is Lightning and Holman Truck Show Podcast. How you doing?
Good, and yourself?
We are
great.
We are awesome. But before we're allowed to talk to you, we have to play a quick intro. So don't move.
What does it take to be an entrepreneur? What does it take to be an entrepreneur? Quit your job and get a loan, and don't let anyone tell you you can't. Go into debt and don't look back. Don't worry, there will always be another crappy job. This is what it takes to be an entrepreneur.
I think that's one of my favorite jingles.
Still?
Holman? Yeah, even after all this time.
It's a good one.
This is what it takes to be an entrepreneur.
Can I point out that our friend here, not only does he sell the cordless heating tool, but he also sells just the tip.
Thank you. Good night. So, Chris, we were having a little discussion before we called you, and I was explaining why we're calling you. And to just so I don't have to tell the story all over again, the guys at CompuStar flew down. They were amazing. They knew that I was in a world of hurt after my truck had been broken into. Flew down, 3 of them, and marketing and install, and they installed my CompuStar T13 with the drone mobile. And that's been amazing. But during, I think it was Josh, I can't remember who had your habanero torch, or we're calling it soldering iron. And I said, well, I've never used one before. And he hands it over to me and he goes, we can't work without this thing. And I said, that's amazing. Where can I buy one? He goes, you can have mine. And that's how I ended up with it. And I was using it on my TRX just the other day. And I was telling Holman that I was cursing because I'm like, how am I just now finding this? Like, I have struggled with my frickin' weller and I've been through 3 different wellers. The cords always break.
Hey, listen.
They're like, it's
Automotive or electrical is hard enough without having good tools.
yeah. It's true. Exactly.
I mean, that's it right there.
So I want to get the backstory. Chris, tell us how this got off the ground. I need your backstory, if you don't mind.
I've grown up soldering things, working with my father, because I grew up in the car audio industry. Not having a hot tip, not having soldering working properly has been a struggle for anybody who works on cars. Finally, I went and tried to address the problem because we couldn't find a good solution. And we kept pressing. I found a manufacturer that made it. We kept pressing. I'm like, we need something that gets hot enough that is quick, but so that the solder penetrates the wire and flows through it properly. And what we have now is the culmination of about 4 years of beating them up. They said that nobody needs this. It's not necessary. And we disagreed. And I think at this point you disagree as well.
I
we
absolutely
do need this product.
If you guys have ever tried to solder, I don't know, let's call it 12 gauge or even larger 8 gauge, or God forbid,
let's even back up even
0
further.
aught or double aught.
Most guys have a Harbor Freight style, cheap Chinese, Amazon, whatever, soldering iron that plugs into the wall and has a little light that flickers when there's electricity going to it and takes about 3 hours to heat up effectively enough for you to solder things together. And it might get the job done, but when you get away from those really low-end entry-level tools and you get into something that actually works, I mean, it's not only are your connections better, but your frustration level goes down and the overall wiring job is just way easier.
So let me explain exactly when it happened. I'm standing there and the sun is baking down on me. It's in my front yard. It's about 85 degrees, like 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Sunday. You know, right on the verge when you're really going to be pissed if something doesn't go well. And I've got the lead. I want to say it's about let's call it a 12, 14 gauge, something pretty thick. It's made for a 20 amp circuit and it's connected to my aux bus on my truck. And I can't pull the wire out. I've got only 8 inches to work with.
I'm not.
Don't even touch it.
Keep going. Keep going.
Lightning said that. Okay, so anyway, the other side is I'm going to home run it back to my bed, like by the tailgate. So it's almost a 20-foot piece of wire. It's the perfect heat sink. So any heat I'm going to put into that with my old soldering iron is going to get soaked up all the way to the end. It's going to warm the wire, and I'm going to have a really tough time getting my solder to penetrate both ends of the raw cable. And then maybe if I use flux, I'll be lucky, and it will kind of like ball up, and I'll have to push it in with the tip, and it's just going to be like, it's going to be a mess. I get the Habanero not knowing what to expect. First time I'm using it.
You actually melted a finger off.
Well, at first, I'm used to my Weller where you turn it on and you hold the tip with your fingers, like you wait. Okay, it's starting to get warm, and then as it starts to get warm, you dip it in your flux, and it starts to smoke the flux, and you're like, okay, now I can melt some solder, whatever. As soon as I hit the button, it's too hard. It was too hot for me to hold. I'm like, oh, I'm not used to that. And then I immediately put in solder. In the flux. It smokes the solder, the flux, and then I grab. In the Habanero kit, it comes with some, I'm assuming there's flux in your solder. I don't know. I didn't do that much research.
There is, yeah.
And it's really the thin stuff that's easy to work with. I mean, I went to town. It just soaked right into both ends. It made a phenomenal bond. I was done with the job in 15, 20 seconds. Normally, I would have fought with it for minutes on end, and still it would have been balled up and ugly. I would have hoped that my heat shrink would have hidden the booger job, you know?
Yes.
How did you go from running a car stereo shop in Wisconsin to creating a tool where you have to design the insides, design the plastics, design the housing, design everything soup to nuts? I can't even wrap my head around it.
It was just a factor of something we needed. We do a lot of remote starts here in the Midwest. So we're talking 17 connections that need to be soldered on a regular basis, doing an average of 15 to 20 cars a day all winter long. To guarantee those type of connections, we need something that's reliable. And this is why it was so important for us to push the envelope with this. And there's a lot of things that I don't think you've noticed, like when you got done soldering, the cap fit right back over the top so you couldn't burn your hands or burn anything that you set the soldering iron down on.
I did notice that. That was handy. And I
also
also
almost
noticed,
like it was designed by somebody who's done that before.
Dude, and it's very easy to change the tips. And I also noticed that the tips on the other ones, if it's a flat blade tip, like a screwdriver, like a number 2 screwdriver or something, it's a fixed position. This sucker rotates. So if the wire, you can't, the wire's going perpendicular to you or 90 degrees, you can rotate and get right in there with the tip. So it mates with the wire. It's freaking genius.
Here's what I'm curious. Is there anything else out there that you were using before that comes close to this? And you said, hey, I'm going to tweak some things? Or do you guys truly make something completely different for that market?
We took something that was already out there. That was the first version of the Habanero, and it didn't have the power this one does. So it would effectively solder about max of 12 gauge wire. Same concept though, where the tips can change real easy, and it's lightweight, and it's easy to recharge, and it had a cap on it. But we kept pushing for the higher power, and this is where we're at. The big tip on this will get hot within 8 seconds, has the ability to solder up to 4 gauge wire. Not that we need to do that, but again, if we're working in the cold and the wind, we have the option of being able to complete a connection.
So, Holman, we're talking about the Habanero Diablo, I think is the one I have. Yeah. And the prices range from...
Correct, you have a Diablo.
Yeah, so $175 to $250.
So and that's with some tips in the case, right?
I
Correct.
think, yeah, depending
you can get the first version, the tool only version is like $50, which is like still a great deal for a quality soldering iron.
Yes.
And so when you're working through the internals, I assume it's lithium ion?
There's 2 lithium ion batteries in there. They're 3.7 volts each. We've got a total of 24 milliamps of current there. So the unit with the standard tips, you can solder for an hour straight.
Holy mackerel.
And then how long is the recharge time?
Recharge time is about 3.5 hours.
Okay,
that's not bad.
Yeah, no, it's not bad. I'm dying to know, because again, Holman and I love entrepreneurs, and I warned you about this and before we started talking, before I called you. How do you get someone to design, for example, the plastics, the tips? I mean, are you proficient in SolidWorks or CAD or CATIA or whatever?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I had an idea in concept and how it was supposed to work, and we kind of worked with them on this because we originally started this in 2019, and it took quite a while to get to this point. One, convincing them that there was a need for this. Two, convincing them to believe in the ideas that I had, that we needed something with higher power, the additional lights on the front to make it so that it's brighter. Basically they had a concept, they have a patent on the changing of the tips.
Who's the they?
To manufacture in Taiwan.
Okay.
And so we worked with that manufacturer to further things along and basically make it so that the cap fits on the front but can be put on the back so we don't lose it. So that it's got a power meter, so that it's got the bright colors on it, so when we drop it under the seat, it doesn't get lost. So we don't lose our expensive tools. Lots of little things. In the case, there's a spot where you can actually put the soldering iron, so you could solder and use it as a station.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yep, next to where you can clean the soldering tip.
Yeah.
There's a spot where you can put it in and it'll sit upright, so you can solder multiple wires if you needed to.
Oh, no
See,
kidding.
it's like the gift that keeps on giving.
No, right? Because
Even better than you thought.
I use the little gold afro, right? That it's got a little cup with like I don't know what that metal is, but it just cleans the tip when you brush the tip through it. And
correct.
Imagine it like Scotch-Brite or something, but like I don't know. It looks like a gold Chia Pet. And so you started working on it from 2019 to now, and it's fully fleshed out. What's the adoption like in the 12-volt industry? So the car stereo guys.
So it launched officially last June. We had a real good push in the beginning, but with coming out of COVID and not the winter across the United States we had hoped for as remote start installers, their budgets weren't quite there. So we've been trying to work to get it out there a little bit more.
We're going to help you do that. So I posted a deal on my Instagram the other day about that. And Holman, this will crack you up. My dad texted me last night at 11:15 p.m. and he goes, "What's that soldering iron that you were talking about?" I'm like, you woke me up. Like literally, I was asleep, but I had it to my phone.
You could be mad at him for that.
So no, I didn't. And I'm like, I go, well, he's like, I want to order one because he's had the same frustration. I learned to solder from my father. He was an electrical engineer for McDonnell Douglas and whatever back. I don't know, Minuteman rockets back in the 70s and 80s, I guess. So he taught me how to do this stuff, and he's been using ancient, like 1969 called, and they want their soldering iron back from my dad.
But you know what? They don't make them like that until now.
No,
until
but
the Habanero,
dude. I'm telling you, like the base of his is like made out of Bakelite, right? And it's like there's a hamster spinning trying to generate energy.
Sounds awesome to me.
No, it's awful. His tools are like made in the Mesopotamian era, and so
cloth cord and everything.
Dude, he's got the cloth cord, legit. Yeah. So I'm going to buy one for him as a present. He's probably listening to this and he already knows it's coming, but I have to. Like I can't watch the old man suffer anymore. So let me ask you this. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Since you own the company, what are the chances, Chris, that we could offer our listeners a discount if they want a Habanero Diablo cordless soldering iron?
I can make that happen.
That
shouldn't be a problem.
He had me nervous for a second.
We were hanging there. I'm like, well, here goes lightning again.
So what do you want the discount code to be? If we use it at, so you would go to habanerotool.com, habanerotool.com, or just Google it. It'll pop right up. What do you want it to be? Have our listeners enter it to get themselves a Diablo.
Let's use your name. Let's use Lightning.
Lightning?
I was thinking third degree burn, but
that's too long. You know what a sentence. All right. So Lightning is the discount code at habanerotool.com, and buy the whole kit, kids. Don't chintz out. Do the whole thing. It's Mac Daddy. Congratulations on this. And I know it sounds like you're might be having a little bit of a struggle getting the word out, but I think you're one Instagram campaign from not being able to stock enough. Like this is next level.
Or one endorsement from Lightning.
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
There we go.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Hey, real quick before we wrap up, I wanted to find out. Tell me about Sound Decisions. Like, what's the history of the company? What's your big movers? Are you doing sub boxes? Mainly, we know you're doing remote starts, stuff like that, alarms.
We do alarms, we do remote starts, we do audio. My father started the company 52 years ago now, going back to your father, he manned a Minuteman missile silo. We've got some history there. That's where he learned everything he did to start our store. But we do from nuts to bolts, front to back, radios, speakers, custom fabrication, fiberglass. We have a very skilled set of installers on staff to really push the envelope with that.
What are you known for? What is your thing like? Oh, we do fifth order bandpass enclosures like nobody's business. Or what is the one thing that Sound Decisions stands out for?
If it's not remote starts, it will be called the lost art of customer service. We take care of our customers.
Got it.
Love it.
Nice.
Love
it. Okay. And does Sound Decisions have a website or a Facebook page?
It does. It's brightpinkmailbox.com.
Brightpinkmailbox.com. Okay, I could not have guessed that in a million years. Why?
Have you ever had a fight with City Hall?
Okay.
So we ran into a lot of trouble with City Hall trying to get signage for our new location. And after multiple trips and multiple times, they basically denied them. And so my father's answer to that was to buy the biggest mailbox, paint it fluorescent pink, put it on the street, and you can see it for a half mile in either direction.
That's awesome.
When you find us, just look for the bright pink mailbox.
I love the inside joke there.
Marketing 101 right there.
Right?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Love it.
Awesome. All right. Well, congrats on this, Chris. We're going to promote this as best we can. And we love it when people are
entrepreneurs.
Well, yeah, I was going to say that necessity is the mother of invention is what I was going for here.
Let me speak for my man Lightning and translate for you.
Mm-hmm.
He like good tool, sell more. He help.
Oh, wow. I appreciate you speak caveman.
Thank you. I figured that might be easier.
Yeah. All right, Chris. Thank you so much for checking in with us.
No problem. You guys have a great night.
All right. You too. Thanks.
Talk to you. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right, so there you go. Lightning at habanerotool.com. Treat yourself to an early Christmas present.
Or just end of summer present.
There you go.
All right, so what were you doing somewhere that had to do with trails and off-roading? And because that seems like a me thing.
Yeah. Well, so I'm into motocross and dirt bikes and such. A friend of mine, Aubrey, threw the first annual Trail Bash at the Pomona Fairplex.
Okay.
And it was largely to do with motorcycles. There isn't like an off-road expo or sand sports expo for the motorcycling dual sport community. And so he threw the first one. And there were a couple of truck people there. Most people to get to the desert or the forest or whatever, the sand dunes, requires a truck, right? And so I said, I'll support with Banks. We'll come out with a little 10x10 booth. And it was a great event. Phenomenal first go. He's going to be back next year. He had a bunch of manufacturers out there like Husqvarna, KTM, Fox Apparel, all this really cool stuff. Anyway, I was posted up next to Bernhard Leitner and Leitner Designs, and I couldn't help myself but walk over and shove the microphone in his face. I'm going to bum rush Bernhard and see what he's got going on over here. He's like, uh-oh, lightning again. What's happening, Holmes?
What's up? How's it going?
Good. So you and I spoke before the show just briefly, and you're like, yeah, of course I'm going to be out there. We have one of the only racks that accept a bike in the bed. And it was like, I don't know how many times we've spoken to you, but it's always been about like the quote-unquote overlanding thing. But it hasn't been about why you started in your heritage or you've always been around bikes. Since the time you could walk, you've been around bikes, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I was riding since I was 3.5 years old. I got my first bike and obviously riding with my dad even on the back of the bikes before then. But when I developed my rack system, that was my biggest gripe with racks on the market. I could put my motorcycle in the back, but I needed my rooftop tent. I needed all my other stuff. And I'm like, that's what I'm going to build, something that holds a motorcycle and is still a rack. So it's nobody knows about that because I got so big in the overland market so quick that I just kind of went away from the whole explaining to people that it holds motorcycles.
First, let's explain how it holds a motorcycle. What makes it different?
Yeah, so obviously most truck bed racks have 2 bars, one on the front, one on the back, and they are fixed in place. Now, ours has a rail system on the top, and the rear load bar is on knobs. So you loosen them up, takes 5 seconds, and you slide it all the way to the front. And we have a patent on a self-supporting bed rack system. So when that load bar is not there, it's completely structural. you can still load it up any way
You would imagine, though, the way you're describing it, that the ones closest to the tailgate would become floppy.
Right.
Right.
And we have a patent on a system that is structural in the back, so no one can really even make a sliding rear load bar unless they somehow figure out a way to get around the patent, and we've had that for 10 years. No one's figured that out yet. So, but yeah, I mean, it lets you slide it forward, and it's not just great for motorcycles. I mean, how many times do you have a cooler, it slides to the front of your truck bed, you climb in and whack your head on that bar.
Every time.
Every single time. So when you don't have stuff on top, just drive with it forward, and your truck bed is completely open, yet we still have all that side storage and the shower attachments that attach to the side. So it just really, it's great for everybody. It's not just an overland rack.
There was a guy at Banks, he was picking up a big tool chest, a snap-on tool chest, and he had a rack, and he couldn't get it in the back.
Yeah.
He had to disassemble his rack to get it in. It was like 2 hours he was trying to take apart his rack just to get a snap-on tool chest. And we had the forklift, we were standing there waiting like, dude, we had to just sit around and wait for him to take it apart. If he had one of your racks,
he could have just dropped it right in. The other great thing that we found out is I've moved refrigerators, I've moved water heaters, and what you do is you
that's
pop.
Because you own a truck.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyone who owns a truck has to move beds, refrigerators.
My neighbors call on me all the time, right, for that kind of stuff. But the cool thing is you take the rear load bar off, which pops off in a few seconds, and you pinch it in between the front load bar and the back load bar, and the thing doesn't move. You don't even need to strap it down. It's such a great way to go.
You could almost put a mattress straight up and down. You
Yeah.
wouldn't want to, but it would flop in the wind, but it wouldn't fly out.
fall back, no.
And by the way, what is up with so many people still putting mattresses on the top of their Honda Accords, and they want to take flight, and you're like, you're going to rip your roof off, or I'm going to drive over your mattress. People will not learn that you just do not put a mattress on your roof.
I pass that car as fast as I can. I get in the fast lane and just bail because it looks like it's just going to take me out.
That or a surfboard. I was almost killed by a longboard that launched up in Ventura. It just took flight off the guy's car, went 100 feet into the air, and landed in front of me, about 20 feet in front of me. I thought if I had landed, it would have went right through my windshield. Like, that just can't strap stuff down.
When I was 18, I got a ticket for that. My bed liner, my drop-in bed liner, ejected out of the back of my car, and it landed in the center divider, and a cop pulled me over for not securing my load, and it was a bed liner.
There was no load.
Yeah, I just ejected. So I know what can happen out there.
How did you, now that you built it originally for bikes because you were a two-wheeled freak?
I am.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
But then how did you get so quickly wrapped up in, you're like one of the, forgive me, but you're one of the centerpieces in the overlanding community. Like, let me pause this real quick here. For those that don't know, Bernhard Leitner's father, unless you heard the other episode quite a while back, Bernhard Leitner's father started AMP Research. And AMP Research, they're the bed step guys. So if you've got a power step, those are the guys. They licensed it out to everybody. If you've got a retractable step, it was born from his father. Prior to that, he was a professional motocross racer.
Well, and he brought in ATK bikes.
That's where I'm going. So he was a professional motocross rider. So that's where Bernhard, gets birthed, and he naturally is a rider as well. You are the go-to rack guy in overlanding.
Yeah, sure.
How did that happen so fast?
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. I mean, we did a lot of shows, we did a lot of promotions back in the day, but I mean, I honestly believe it was just a rack that, when I started, the only thing you could get for an overland rack is you could buy a set of bent tubes that you had to weld together yourself. That was literally was available in the overland market. And I came out with a full system that already had toolboxes and storage systems and rooftop tent brackets and light brackets. It was all already fully engineered for that. When all that was on the market was bent tubes you had to weld together, because they couldn't figure out how to ship a rack yet. Right, that was the big thing. Our rack UPSs to your door because we figured out how to bolt it together and make it flat pack.
Got it.
Everything else back then, nobody figured it out, so they would send you tubes you had to weld.
Your stuff is all made here in the U.S.
It is 100% U.S. made, yes.
Right, and a lot of that stuff, even back then, was coming out of China or wherever, right? And so it did have to be. Did that play a part that you were local versus in the import stuff? Or no?
Yeah, I mean, we always push for the USA-made products. I mean, we only make in the USA. Some people care.
I guess what I'm asking about is assembling, shipping, and the way you can package it versus someone who has to package it coming out of, China.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, it was a full thought process right in the beginning. to make it a consumer product, not something that you had to take to somebody to install. Ours can be installed. I mean, it was all thought through from the beginning to be a consumer product, to make it easy to build and ship to the guy directly, yeah.
So how does it feel to return to your roots, to two wheels? Like, you're surrounded by KTM, dual sport bikes. You've got Husqvarna's over here. Like, how many people know that about you, other than your inner circle of friends?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess in the off-road overland industry, not that many people. We've not really pushed it. I personally, at this show, all I'm doing is going to see all the bikes because I don't get around it enough. I'm just in everybody else's booth talking to them about their bikes they got, so it's cool.
That's cool. And what do you have in the back of this one? What kind of bike is that?
That's my personal. It's a Ducati Desert X. It's about 1,950cc adventure bike.
Okay.
Yeah. I take that to Mexico.
I'm going to Italy in the end of September. Should I go to Ducati? People say there's a great tour at Ducati.
There is a great tour at Ducati. Personally, I've never gotten to do it, but another funny story is my uncle was the importer for Ducati for 30 years to Austria. So he spent all his time, and I've been riding Ducatis since I was 16.
Okay.
So it's beautiful, though, I heard.
What is new? Are you debuting anything at this show? Or if not, what's upcoming? Because you know where I'm going with this.
So there is some new stuff, obviously, that you already know. We've already talked about it. You've been one of the people pushing me for this particular product. And randomly enough, as soon as we started talking, people started calling for this product as well, saying, hey, you should make this. And I'm like, okay, I got enough people hitting me up, so I think it's going to be cool. And,
should we say, or should we hold off for now?
No, we could talk about it. Actually, there's one product that you already know and another product. So people have always been asking for what is called like a headache rack, right? So when you have gear loaded up in the back of the truck, you slam the brakes, you get in an accident, it doesn't come through the rear windshield. And people have been asking for that. I know you have. So we're making a universal, super clean aluminum rear panel that adapts to every truck size that bolts directly to our rack.
It kind of accordions in the center.
Accordions in the center, correct.
But seamless, so you can't even tell that there's a seam there unless you get really close.
You get really close. So this will attach to our rack. So if you're the kind of guy that's worried about stuff coming in the back or someone breaking into your car, smashing out the rear window, as you might have already experienced there, Lightning. So that, when that happens, so this will protect all that.
Turns out you're a good engineer.
I'm decent. I love what I do. It's all it is. I just love what I do, and I can spend all day at it.
It's cool because you get to, I don't know if you grew up playing with Legos.
Oh yeah.
But this is the man's Lego set right here, right? You get to keep creating new sets of Legos.
That's what people call all the time. It's like a major erector set for adults, right? So you can bolt to it. We have all these attachments, but it's designed to work with everybody else's kind of stuff too. So if you already have products from Yakima, Thule, Rhino Rack, you want all their product engineered to build right to it.
So that's smart. A lot of companies, they make it proprietary, the system by which it all bolts together. They're like, no, we want our own ecosystem. We're going to do the Apple thing. We only want you to use Apple product. And you're like, no. If you are already married to another brand's cases,
yep.
You're like, you can bolt those onto my rack. I think that was brilliant.
For sure. And people are very particular about their bike rack, their kayak rack or whatever. They might have had it already and they just want to transfer it and they've had good experience with that product. You can bolt it to ours.
And that stuff is expensive, so you don't want to have to buy it twice.
It absolutely is expensive, right? And but you own it, you want to keep using it. Why make you go buy another product again? So
other than the headache rack, do you have anything new we can tease? Or do you have stuff going into SEMA?
We have a couple of vehicles going into SEMA. We're working with a company right now to start building some racks for side-by-sides, more like farm truck type side-by-sides that have beds and that need that type of storage capability to put all their tools and kind of stuff that we already offer. So we're going to build a really shrunken down version for a vehicle that's going into SEMA. I can't tell you who, but yeah.
Interesting. I feel like we're seeing Leitner Designs kind of change their trajectory just a little bit. It's kind of cool.
I think there's always opportunity out there, and then, maybe a lot of people don't know this either, but we outfit all the LA lifeguards. We outfit all the lifeguards up and down the California coast. So those guys use it for all their rescue equipment, their backboards, for all their first aid kits. It's mounted on the side. They use the shower to wash off wounds that we manufacture. Okay. So we're in a lot of different industries, but at least we're back at my roots here at this show, which is just love the trail bash.
What's the first bike that you're going to try to actually steal and ride out of here?
There's a Husky 350 over there, street legal. and that's the bike I really want to get.
Right.
Just to race around town. I'm close to some riding areas, and it's street legal. Just looks like the perfect. It's like a motocross bike that's street legal.
So if I can get the key, I'll push the guy to the ground. I'll steal the key. I'll give it to you, and you ride out.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
I have no problem. I'm licensed for that.
Bernhard Leitner, everybody. All right, Leitner Designs.
Appreciate it.
There you go.
Love me some Bernhard Leitner, and I really like his products. In fact, I use his awesome box on top of the Jeep for longer overlanding trips. And the thing that is unique is he's always attacking the markets that he goes into. He always attacks it with his style,
yeah,
but also to be completely different than everybody else. For example, the ACS forged rack with the removable center bar, with the forgings instead of just tubes on the ends.
Well,
all that
the
kind of
way
stuff.
that he put the locks on your cases, right?
So what I was going to talk about the cases is the fact that what makes them different is it opens from the side, not the top. So when you have the boxes on your roof, you can still access the contents without climbing up and then having to look down. The way they mount internally, locking to the mount rather than externally locking to the mount, means that you have to break into the box in order to remove the box, and then it has a bulb seal, so it's weather and dust proof. And then on top of that, his handles, 2 T handles, both are locks on that particular box, integrated. And you have 2 locks versus having to put padlocks or off-road that are hitting everything and chipping your powder coat and making a bunch of noise. So Bernhard makes some killer stuff for sure.
All right, you good for some email?
Well, let's do it.
You email? Yeah. I email? Do it. We email? That's right. Everybody email. Type it up. You email? Proofread. I email? Send it. We email? Click it. Everybody email.
All right, who do you want to go first? You want to start it this time? I think I did last time.
No, go for it.
Oh, okay. Turn down that music. All right, this one's coming in from Trevor, one of our more prolific writers. Throw some truck nuts at the bottom of your hole.
I think that was your ballers.
Yeah.
You were asking what you should put in the
what
bottom.
I should bury as like a time capsule.
Yeah.
Every good hole needs some nuts, he says. Yeah, that is,
That's, super inappropriate.
very funny and a little too late, Trevor.
Very.
Thank you
No,
very
no.
much.
We're reading it too late. He sent it on time.
That's what I meant.
Right.
We're too late.
We're too late. Yeah. What did you put in the bottom of your holes?
Rock, boring stuff.
That's it?
Yeah.
You have this whole big thing about how you're going to have a time capsule.
No, so the thing is that I expected our friend Rich Holdaway of Holdaway Construction to come over and spend 2 days doing it. Dude, he was in and out in 1 day.
Yeah.
I mean, he hauled balls.
Well, and
Like,
he also
was
said-
so freaking fast.
He texted us and said that he has a bunch of bids out for people who actually want to do that to their place.
Yeah,
after seeing the video. Of it, yeah.
So this morning he had, yesterday morning he had 9 bids.
Yeah.
He's probably got more today. So the baller thing is taking off. Dude, Thole, this is crazy. Look at this. Hold on a
somebody
second.
stole your bollards?
No, well, hold on. I've got to
have
go
a
to
video
Slack.
of somebody?
No, it's not that dramatic. Hold on. Let me just pull up.
You went up 8 octaves.
Steven
and
worked. This is funny.
And then
That's all
jumped up and
cracks me
down
up.
and
Look,
moved your hands and did jazz hands and stuff.
California Truck Invasion stole my post and reposted it. As of right now,
And they didn't give you any credit either.
No, they didn't give me any freaking credit,
Oh, that
as
sucks.
regrammers never do.
That's not true. I give everybody credit.
So as of this afternoon, it had like 10,000 likes, and there was hundreds of comments.
So why don't you DM them and
About-
say, hey, can you give me credit and tag me on there?
Yeah, I should have.
You should. Do it right now.
All right, here we
That's
go.
ridiculous.
All right, here we go. Let's
Most of
do
those people are
this.
like, hey, we don't know whose photo we stole, but DM for details.
Yeah, here we go.
That way people can see
California,
them operate on your Instagram.
Truck Invasion.
All right. Nobody wants to hear you actually do it, so I'll go on to the next email.
Should I DM them or just tag
No,
myself in there?
No, DM them and just go, hey, could you tag me in there? You can't tag yourself in somebody else's post. They'll just ignore you.
What do you think? Please give me credit for the photo?
No,
or
hey,
like,
guys, thanks for grabbing my photo.
Hey,
Could you
guys,
please tag me?
thanks
Okay, we're not doing this on
for-
I'm reading the email. This is not good podcasting. All right, got this one from RB. Says, Newfie and UPS driver for Sean. He says, Newfie, every other dog breed, cats, goats, possums, reindeer, all the photos are good. You can whiz through them fairly quickly. And it's an MSN article that has 50 times UPS drivers captured the cutest dogs. And it's got a UPS driver hugging a Newfie. And I've mentioned on the show that I've been to Newfoundland, Canada. I've been screeched in, and I was disappointed that all I saw were Chihuahuas and Pit Bulls and things like that, when in reality I was expecting to see a Newfie in Newfoundland, and never happened. So, Ray, thank you for letting me know that there's a place that I can see these big, adorable, huggable, awesome Newfie dogs.
This one's coming in from Chance Parslow, Lightning and Holman. I've been a listener since episode 2 and have really enjoyed the show every week. I own a 2016 Power Wagon, a 2017 Jeep Wrangler, and a 78 Camaro. That's quite a driveway you got. Just wanted to say thanks for the great times and great information. Wondering if you could talk about the Power Wagon, what you like, what you don't. And could you get Don from Thurn Fabrication on? Would love to hear from him. I don't think you've ever had him on. And he says, thank you for mounting those parameters. And yeah, buddy, 5 stars. And, of course, he's got a picture of his Camaro and the Jeep and the Power Wagon, and they're all freaking blue or purple and rad.
Love the Power Wagon. I was in Moab in 2004 when they were revealed to the press. I was one of 4 journalists who were on that trip. From the day they brought it back, it was awesome. In fact, there were some spy photos of the Power Wagon being driven around Moab with the development team with camo on them and stuff like that. And you could always tell the trails that the Power Wagon team had been on because the hitches would scrape on all of the ledges and things like that. And so part of that development drive, they actually made the collars for the tow hitch on Power Wagons out of forged steel because they ended up getting dropped off ledges when people off-roaded and stuff. And then there's a quasi-famous photo of me driving a
quasi-famous?
Yeah, I mean, it pops up on the internet from time and again. But it was back in Moab 2005. We had our red 4-wheeler Power Wagon long-termer. The back window says 4-wheeler, big sticker in it, and I'm driving it up Hell's Gate on the famous Hell's Revenge Trail. I'm wearing like Indiana Jones hat, and I'm sticking out the window. And 20 years ago, that truck was a big deal because nobody had a factory pickup truck that had an off-road package like that. Solid axles front and rear, coil springs in the front and rear lockers, although the rear locker was a limited slip when it was unlocked, which was super novel, still a super novel. Rock rails from the factory, forged 5-spoke wheels from the factory, 33-inch BF Goodrich all-terrain KOs, full skid plating, a 10,000-pound Warren winch in the bumper, Bilstein shocks, all from the factory back in 2004.
It's funny how that stuff is just expected now, but you're right. Back then, it was a trend unheard of. Yeah.
In fact, that I remember driving up, and I got to the top, and some guy yells, he goes, "That thing got air conditioning," and I'm like, "Yeah, and leather seats too," you know. And it was there's literally the photo has a crowd standing, like there must be 40 people at the top, and I'm driving this thing up. It's shot by Ken Brubaker from the bottom, looking up. It was incredible. We drove it all around Moab, and people were just blown away of seeing that truck in person. And in fact, on the way home, SoCal, you take I-70 through the mountains, and there was the blizzard on the way home, and there were several cars that crashed and were spun out, and I actually used the Warren winch and was towing people out of the ravines on the way home with the Power Wagon.
I was hoping you were going to tell me you just pushed them out of the way.
No, I'm not you. I help people. So yeah, it's one of those vehicles that is super special, especially the first gen. The problem was now is it was a quad cab basically, right? Then it went to the DS style cab, and when it went to the DS, the cab got bigger and the wheelbase grew. So it went from 140 or 145 inches to, I don't know, like 149 or somewhere around there.
So this is the part you like or don't like?
I don't like it because the breakover angle changed. They never upgraded to the fatter 60 mil Bilstein shocks, and they never put a 35 on it. So when Ford finally came in with the Super Duty Tremor, it kind of did everything that the Power Wagon should have done. And it just came to a place where Ram got complacent and they didn't keep upgrading it. It was a huge hit. It was a great truck for years and years and years. Still is a great truck. But there's some other stuff out there that's equally as good or better from the factory. But it really was a trendsetter and great truck. It's one of my all-time favorite trucks, period. It's top 10 on my list of vehicles I have reviewed and driven in my career.
I appreciate that. I have no opinion of that particular truck. I don't have any seat time at all, zero. So
you have
I wish I could weigh in.
No point of reference?
I mean, I've seen 3 or 4 come through the shop, but I've never even sat in one. So, I mean, I realize it's the same interior, but no, their off-road prowess can't speak to it. So thank you. And by the way, thanks for emailing.
Monitor key engine parameters.
And I'm going to show Lightning the photo. He was laughing while I was telling the story because I don't think he thinks that there's that many people who were there.
In the meantime,
Yeah, buddy.
and
5-star review. 5-star.
oh, by the way, and Chance about Thurin, we are getting close to booking him on the show. I've been trading emails with him, and he's excited to come on, as far as I know. And hopefully that'll happen in the next couple of weeks, months, whatever. But yeah, I'd love to get him on. Been tracking him down for quite some time.
All right, so on the Podjet screen is the photo of me driving a brand new stock Power Wagon up Hell's Gate in Moab.
First off, that is crazy looking, like you're going to tip over on the passenger side. That hat is silly. Why were you wearing that hat? I mean, I get it.
Desert hat.
Desert hat.
That was a stock truck back in
Desert
2005.
Explorer, Sean Holman. Yeah, there are 40 people perched up, some sitting, chilling, and other ones just looking at you like, damn, what's that Power Wagon doing?
I mean, that is a crazy, a crazy spot where, Jeeps and stuff go on a regular basis. And
Were you just going all the way up?
Well, I mean, it didn't sound like a seal because I have throttle control, but yeah, I mean, it was. Let's just say it was something to see back in 2005.
Are you on the brake when you're going up something like that?
No.
Like you're just all throttle? You're not like feathering brake,
No.
gas, brake
I
gas?
got both lockers locked. Oh, electronic sway bars, the other thing I missed on it. Had the electronic sway bar disconnected and both lockers locked, 4-wheel drive, low range. Just let her eat.
Money.
You know what else? Speaking of the Emmy, yeah, buddy, she called me out on Instagram today. She's at an Audi drive, and she's like, look, Audi likes me. I have Diet Dr. Pepper. Suck it, Holman. So I'm going to have to...
She's bringing hellfire.
I have to clap back now, so I know what I'm doing tomorrow.
Let's bring this firestorm.
Yeah.
I mean, how do we need the brick. The brick is let's do the brick. The brick at the museum. What are we going to write on the brick?
Well, we need something sooner than the brick. The brick is like a 6-month thing.
The brick is the ultimate
I understand that.
stealth move.
I need a clap back tomorrow.
Oh.
And I will.
Do you have one planned?
Stand by.
Oh, interesting. Keep your eye on Holman's socials at Sean P. Holman. Okay.
I got another one from Mr. Nemero, and we normally don't read two from the same person, but this one is about Lieberwoman.
Oh. Lieberman? Yeah.
He says, here's my thoughts on that damn Lieberwoman. Just kidding. I actually find him enjoyable, and I think it's healthy to avoid TSP being an echo chamber, and Johnny definitely brings some different viewpoints to the table. He actually has a lot of good answers for challenges of getting to the future of electrification. He's way more educated on the subject than I am. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on most of it, that he's probably right about electrification and the future. One question I wish I could ask, and it's a genuine one that I don't know if I've ever seen the answer to, it's this. For simplicity's sake, picture there are 100 ICE cars on the road in the world, and each car produces 1 unit of emissions. That means we live in a world that has 100 cars and 100 emissions. Let's say we get to 100% adoption of full electric, and all of the range hurdles for the cars themselves and all the ancillary infrastructure is solved. We now have 100 EV cars on the road. For argument's sake, that took 0.5 units of emissions to create. We now have a world that has 100 ICE and 100 EV with a total of 150 units of emissions. This email is already very wordy and long, so I won't go deeper than that, but can you imagine once you factor in the time to that above example and the ancillary emissions generation from the construction and mining efforts to support getting to 100% adoption by creating the infrastructure required, the total global emissions output has to increase from the base level of ICE scenario, I would imagine. Without mandates that rip ICE out of people's hands and crush them, or another cash for a clunker style program that offers me $250,000 for my ICE, there's a 0% chance ICE goes away in the next century. Even if fossil fuels are depleted, synthetic fuels will continue to power them. Here's my actual question. Are you aware of any one group entity who has thoughtfully put calculations to this and can show what the total tipping point is for adoption of EV compared to number of ICE removed from the road and plotted that over time? This TEDx talk is the closest. He provided a link I've personally found to talk along this point. According to Graham Conway, EVs will take about 40 to 100,000 miles to begin offsetting their initial emissions generation from cradle to grave circulation before they're truly a reduction in emissions compared to an existing ICE vehicle. The dude has held roles all related to precisely this topic for the past decade, including at SAE and now SWRI, so I feel his personal opinion is worth considering in the discussion. Thanks, Trevor. Trevor, that might be the most complete and interesting, well-thought-out email we've ever had from you. We appreciate that more than Lightning putting truck nuts at the bottom of his bollard holes. And I did forward this email to Johnny and said, hey, what do you think? I have not heard back yet.
Who's the TED Talk from?
TED Talk is from a gentleman, Graham Conway.
Graham Conway. Okay.
So check it out.
I thought he might be talking about a guy named Michael Schellenberger. I think he was going to run or ran kind of sort of for California governor, but he has done a few talks, including a TED Talk, that are fascinating. He was a liberal, and then he kind of turned against that establishment and did a deep dive on why renewables can't save the planet. And it's absolutely fascinating. I would just look up, don't even worry about Michael Schellenberger, just type in why renewables can't save the planet, and then you'll go down the Michael Schellenberger rabbit hole. He's very well spoken and very well researched. I guess I'm up next then. So, hey, Lightning, have you heard? I can't find this in print yet, but Tim over at Truck and SUV is reporting that Toyota will replace the engines in all affected vehicles. I guess if you needed service on your Toyota, you'd better get it now because they're going to be backlogged for a long time. I can't believe I'm telling you this before that buddy journalist of yours. And then he links me over to Tim at Truck and SUV Talk. Monitor those engine parameters, or is it monitor engine recalls? And 5 stars.
Monitor key engine parameters.
5-star review! 5 stars!
What you know about that, Holman?
Yeah, so it came out, and this is a slightly older email, which is why you're hearing about it now. I'm sure everybody's caught up. But basically, Toyota came out and said there is no fix for those Toyotas we talked about under recall, which were the Lexus and the Tundras. According to some of my sources, the press release said it was some sort of manufacturing contamination or machining contamination, something like that. But then I heard from somebody I know that they heard it was maybe from the sand casting of the block where the sand wasn't fully removed from the engine. So I don't know what caused it, but the bottom line is those engines, all of them will probably fail at some point. And Toyota, horrible quality issue, but nice to see them stepping up to the plate and taking care of every one of those customers. It's both the early Tundras as well as the Lexus LX 600s. So.
Oh, that's so unusual for Toyota. Well, is it? Maybe not.
I mean,
not unusual for them to be good to the customer, but it feels like it's unusual for their, the quality of product. Like they're just, you don't
hear about these big ones
not
too often.
Usually.
This is a pretty big one. All right, got this one from Don Happel. Says, is trail riding dead? Insert funny names here. Okay. Light Bright and Holmania.
What does that have to do with trail riding?
Well, he said insert funny names here. So I get to choose the names, and you're Light Bright, and I'm Holmania.
Okay.
It says, one for Mr. Holman. It seems ever since the industry saw the success of the Raptor, the only real off-road products being offered are go-fast Baja-type builds. 3 flavors of Raptor, TRX, the new Defender Octa, G-Class AMG, even the Cyber Troc and Rivian. He spelled it Cybertruck, which is hilarious. They throw huge power numbers up and say off-road, but they really only mean go fast off-road. Jeep is the last man standing if you want trail rig or rock crawler with Bronco, and the new Yodas with IFS and solid rear as also Rans. My assumption is that's easier to keep nice road manners with a go-fast suspension than highly flexible trail suspension. And of course, the solid axles remain the standard for articulation and ease of modding and are less nice for taking the kids to school or commuting down the freeway, and huge horsepower isn't really any advantage on the trail compared to the street or going full dune bashing, or for enticing buyers to part with 6-figure asking prices. Have we seen an end of trail crawler focused products? I'm clearly biased as my wheeling is trail running places like Rubicon, Fordyce, Moab, not blasting through dunes and wide open desert. That's fun, but unless you live in the Southwest, how many places can you even use that sort of performance versus slower, more technical driving, which can be found everywhere? P.S. Lightning, don't take too much crap from Holman. We know this show would be unlistenable without your editing magic behind the scenes. Don Happel, guy who remembers when the Defender was a utility vehicle. All right, that's a loaded question, Mr. Happel. I would say that you picked on Raptor, TRX, Defender Octa, G-Class, Cybertruck, and Rivian. I'm going to argue with you the Rivian is not a go-fast vehicle. It doesn't have the suspension for it, nor is the Cybertruck. They're independent all 4 corners. Raptor, TRX, certainly. Bronco Raptor, the Braptor, absolutely. Yes.
But I've been seeing lately, maybe just because I'm so close to it, but I've been seeing TRXs through like forest scenarios and guys who are trying to get technical with them. Again, I'm not saying that they'll do well in those technical trails, but I've seen guys certainly try.
He's not asking how the end user is using it. He's asking how the manufacturers are promoting it.
Oh, gotcha.
So I think it's just marketing. It's way easier to sell sand dunes with sand flying and a big horsepower, and it's a technological tour de force. It's way harder to create something that goes fast and has the thermal management and the power to stay together, and I think that builds a reputation toward durability and things like that. So they use it as a halo vehicle, and also it's what's selling right now. Mojave Gladiators, right there, Jeep's doing as well. However, when you do the flip side, yeah, IFS is here to stay. Don't know what to tell you, Don. Unless you're looking at a heavy-duty Ram or a Ford or a Jeep, there's not much out there except for maybe a Grenadier. And Grenadier is definitely more of a trail riding, not a go fast. So you've got the Grenadier, you've got the Bronco Wild Track or Sasquatches. You've got, of course, the new Trail Hunter from Tacoma. Then you can still get the TRD Pro for go fast. So I would argue and say, no, you're good. How about the Trail Boss or even the Bisons from the Colorados?
Mm-hmm.
The ZR2, whether it's a Colorado, a 1500 heavy duty, they can go faster than their non-ZR2 counterparts, but they're not up in the TRD Pro Raptor territory.
What about the AT4X? I just saw one today.
Same thing. That's a ZR2. That's just the GMC ZR2. That is a way better at trail riding. I mean, the Multimatics are a great shock, and they can take it, but that's not going to be Raptor TRX level. That's going to be a notch below. And again, when you build something, we've said it before, when you build something that goes fast, it can also go slow. When you build something that goes slow, it doesn't go fast.
Right.
So it behooves you as a manufacturer to build something that can go fast, knowing that your customer is going to be able to do anything with it. So there you go.
Wow. Well said. Lightning is wrong is the subject line.
That's right after lightning. Don't take too much crap from me. So I like that.
That sucks. So he follows it with, by the way, this is from Richard Stone. Thanks, Richard. Lightning is, as usual, wrong. The OBS Chevy or GMT 400 is still the best truck on the road. And the 95 Up interior looks good. These trucks, Tahoes, and Suburbans are everywhere and easily modified. Lifted or slammed, they are still very popular everywhere. They are still top of the mountain. Don't care, Richard.
Wow.
I don't like him.
You're not going to answer that?
I don't like him.
That'd be,
I'm just giving a hard time.
Lightning at Truck Show Podcast.
No. That is, listen, I have not owned one. I had a GMT 800. The 400, to me, they're ubiquitous. They're everywhere. Don't care. To me, they're ugly.
Even Finnegan just got one and he's doing it up.
Fine.
Whatever. You suck. Hey, all right, I got this anonymous email here.
Anonymous?
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I can't help you there.
This means that it's about me.
They wanted to know how much money you've spent protecting your TRX far and above the cost of the TRX.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Huh.
If you added everything up with your bollards and your 12 security systems, both on the house, on the CompuStar, the IGLA, like, what are you at in output?
Okay.
And I thought that was kind of an interesting one because now I know why you're thinking it that way. I now know why your wife is so angry.
Got it. Okay. I'm doing the math really quick as fast as I can.
Include the one that says trespasser warning.
Yeah, right. That would be 2.
So you need the camera. You need the sensor. You need the bollards.
What would you say? The camera.
You have a camera that points at your driveway.
Yeah, but that came with the house.
All right, you got the infrared sensor.
Yeah, I got that.
That
warning.
Bollard,
That was only $25.
Warning, yep. And then you've got the CompuStar system with the GPS tracker add-on. You've got the IGLA. You've got the taser. You've got the film for your back window. You've got the headache rack. Wow, when you start saying it out loud like this,
I don't have the headache rack yet.
We add it on there. That's the whole point of you doing it, right?
Oh, wait. Do we count the PA system?
Yes.
That's kind of that's not. I didn't get it for that reason.
No, but you tied your alarm system into it.
I did, but yeah. So
you got to count that too.
Okay, so that was.
By the way, I was standing with Lightning's kid in the driveway, and he's like, "Oh, dude, I got to move the truck over like 3 feet," and he and I are standing there watching Lightning do like ABBA up down, and we were just giggling at how hard it is just to get in and drive it.
Oh, geez, I didn't count the IGLA in here too.
I just said the IGLA.
No, but I wasn't doing it in my math. Oh, that's another. Oh, Jesus, $8,875.
And that's with discounts on everything.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm forgetting some stuff in there too.
I'm sure that's not full retail on your bollards and your install.
I bet you could easily round up to about $9,500.
No, I bet without discounts you're probably in the 12 to 13 range.
I think these are kind of retail-ish.
No
you don't
way.
think so?
Nope. Did you put Rich's labor in there? And renting the machine?
Yeah, I did.
He told me what it was per hole.
Yeah, he gave me a great deal.
I know. He told me what retail per hole is, and
like I said, so if you round up, I'm just shy of $10,000.
Yeah, I think you're over.
I just did the quick math, napkin math. This feels really crappy. And it's still going to get broken into in some freaking mall parking lot. I can almost guarantee it. Whatever. Y'all suck. Oh, man. I could have bought another freaking truck with that money.
I think that's what your wife wanted you to do.
No, I mean, I could have bought another truck.
Yeah.
No, and I kept the TRX. Just bought another one to prepare when the TRX just isn't in my driveway anymore. This took an ugly turn. Can we end the show now?
Just end it. There's no reviving it at this point.
Holy mackerel. Lightning at truckshowpodcast.com if you want to pile on, or I'm at LBC Lightning, and he's at Sean P. Holman on the gram if you want to hit him up.
The Truck Show, the Truck Show, the Truck Show, oh.
And we want to hear from you, whether you email us at truckshowpodcast@gmail.com, Holman at truckshowpodcast.com, Lightning at truckshowpodcast.com, or give us a call on the 5-star hotline, 657-205-6105, and leave us your thoughts. We love to hear from our listeners and love making you part of the show.
And a quick reminder to head over to habanerotool.com, and that's where you can pick up your Habanero Diablo HSD2. I just got a text from Chris.
Yeah.
40% off with the code. We've never had a discount like that on any products. This is, he might not be the best businessman, but dude, that is huge. 40, that's 40% off. I believe it's everything at Habanero Cordless Heating Tools. So that's insane. So if you can't remember what we're telling you, go over to truckshowpodcast.com and head over to the, what is it, partners? What is that tab?
Featured products.
Featured products. Truckshowpodcast.com, head to the featured products tab, and then you will see the write-up on the my new favorite soldering iron.
And guys, will you please head on over to Spotify or Apple, leave us some reviews. It's been a while. We haven't had any funny reviews to read. So give us a 5-star review, and we will read it on the show if you leave us something worth talking about. While you're on the website, check out our events tab. See if there's anything happening in your neck of the woods. Okay, Lightning, we have to thank Nissan, our presenting sponsor, who make awesome pickup trucks.
Don't have to, want to.
That's right. We got the Nissan Frontier ready for you, sitting there at your local Nissan dealership. What a great truck. You get the 3.8-liter V6 backed by the 9-speed automatic. You can get the SL, more luxurious version. You can get the S base model version, more kind of like a work truck. You can get the Pro 4X, which is our favorite truck. A lot of options, a lot of ruggedness for not a lot of cash. NissanUSA.com, where you can build and price, or check them out at your local dealer.
And if you have a 2020 to 2023 Duramax L5P, guess what? The Ram air intake is now 50 state emissions compliant. Add power, fuel economy, extreme dust collection, and some turbo noise. Head over to bankspower.com to get your Ram air intake 50 state emissions compliant. California folks, rejoice.
And listen, we're truck guys here at the Truck Show Podcast. We know you're truck people. We know how much you love your truck. So why don't you give us some love by going to AMSOIL.com and select some of the best lubricants, oils, and car care products for your ride. And you know what? It can be a little bit overwhelming because they offer so much. But if you go over to the contact tab, they have product tech support, and you can ask them, just like Lightning's not sure which oil to use on his benzo, which between these two, he's going to give them a call, and they're going to tell him exactly what and why. So if you've got those kind of questions, AMSOIL backs their products up. They've been doing it the longest. They were the first in synthetics, and they're a great partner in supporting the Truck Show Podcast.
And when it's come time to protect the stuff in your truck bed, the answer is a roll track tonneau cover from EGR. Or if you're also looking for fender flares, VSL LED lights, window visors, hood guards, body side moldings, cab spoilers, sport bars, or under seat storage, EGR has you covered. Head over to EGRUSA.com.
Yeah, buddy!
The Truck Show Podcast is a production of Truck Famous LLC. This podcast was created by Sean Holman and Jay Tillis with production elements by DJ Omar Khan. If you like what you've heard, please open your Apple Podcast or Spotify app and give us a 5-star rating. And if you're a fan, there's no better way to show your support than by patronizing our sponsors.
In my room late at night, with a wire and a dream in sight, got my habanero glowing bright. Time to fix what's not quite right. When the lights come back bright and the sparks flicker right, I'll remember this night, saw their dreams taking flight.